right, episode 10. We have a new guest on today. We have my good friend Jena. And if you can't tell already, we've had maybe 1 or 5 drinks.
More like 10.
So this is going to be your special episode of Drunken Personal Stories. Today we're just going to talk about stories that we've experienced. And there's going to be a little bit of mumbo jumbo, so be prepared. This is going to be more of a chaotic episode. We're just going to talk experiences that we've had ourselves. So you get to learn a little bit about us. Jena, I know you lived in a little bit of a haunted house for a little bit. That was kind of a rental of yours.
Yeah. That was creepy, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I remember when I was there, it always felt like we were being watched. I remember always feeling like I had eyes on me when I was sleeping over, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel like eyes are on me.
Yeah, you're not the only one. When I was alone, it freaking was weird.
Yeah, you had a lot of experiences where your now husband was gone for the night, and
definitely
happened.
Yeah, that night I ended up calling your mom and talking to her for like, I don't know, 2 hours or so, because I was scared out of my mind. And our dog Riley at the time was a chocolate lab, and she would freak out in the middle of the night, scared the crap out of me. And we had like 2 different floors in the house, and the basement had our like freezer and a couple of creepy rooms that we never went into.
Yeah, down in the basement, there was a red room. I don't remember what was in it.
I never went.
There was a red room. I went downstairs and I got chills. That was terrifying. I did not like that room. I just remember I had to go back upstairs. It was such a creepy basement. I'm like, oh my god, I can't do this. Wasn't there a night where all the cupboards were open downstairs?
Yeah, there was multiple nights where I shut the cupboards and I'd go in the freezer, change the laundry, and all of a sudden, all the cupboards are freaking open.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I shut them. So that was weird. And then Riley would sit there and bark in the middle of the night. And so, like I said, I was on the phone with your mom for about 2 hours that night because I was scared. And I was sitting watching TV in the middle of the living room because I couldn't go in the bed by myself because I was creeped out. And yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, there was one night I stayed over, and I didn't actually tell you about this until you moved out of the house.
Yeah.
But that night, I was sleeping in the main bedroom with you. We were sharing a bed because your husband was out of town for the day.
Like always.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding.
And we were sleeping there, and I had a dream of this old woman in the corner of the room just watching us. And I remember her just staring at us in the dream. And I didn't tell you about this until you moved out. And I told you about my dream about this old woman in that one corner. And you told me about how you were terrified of that one corner.
It was weird. I don't know what consisted of that corner, I guess, but it was weird. And all I know is I'm kind of that weird person. In the middle of the night, I go to the bathroom and don't turn any of the lights on or shut the door. So I go to the bathroom, and we have a little hallway to the bathroom because, we weren't cool enough to have the master bedroom and bathroom together. So I would like book it as fast as I could to the bathroom, and I'm sitting in this like dark bathroom on the toilet, and there's our shower's right across from me, and I was like deathly scared of the shower for some reason. Like there was something I didn't like. There was some presence or something, which is weird. I'm not one to believe in that, but for some reason there was. And, I wouldn't even wash my hands. I'd book it back, which is not me. I'm one to wash my hands always. So I book it back to the bedroom, and I don't say anything about it. But the one night I was by myself, I was out in the living room because I couldn't sleep in that room. And I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll just go to the bathroom. Nothing weird about it. So I make my way to the bathroom, and as I'm on the toilet, I'm thinking, well, this is really creepy for some weird reason. So I make it back to the living room, and Maverick ends up showing up home, my husband, right away for some reason. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He's home. Not a big deal. That's what I heard. And all of a sudden, there's this loud crash in the bathroom. I jump, and Maverick jumps, and the dog starts barking. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck was that? We were thinking maybe something fell from the wall. Turns out the only thing that fell was my loofah from the bathroom, where I don't like, in the tub.
There's no way that would have created that loud of a noise.
It's a freaking loofah. I mean, it's like a freaking sponge.
Yeah. No, that's...
it was weird.
It had to have pounded against the wall or something. Because, no, the loofah would not have made that big of a noise. There's something else that happened at that moment. The fact that it was right as your husband came home, that's not a coincidence. That was on purpose.
No, and it was weird because at that house, I always felt like I was being watched. And yes, like, the guy who owned it did have a camera at the place, but it was outside. And, like, yes, he could, if he was perfectly aimed, he could see through the kitchen out to the highway, which, okay, whatever. Like, not a big deal. He can't see the freaking bathroom in our house, in our bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, not that weird. So I didn't think much of it, but yeah, that night I definitely got scared. It was weird. I got creeped out. I didn't know what to think about it because a loofah, like I said, won't make that noise.
Mhm.
And Maverick jumped and he played it off like, it's not a big deal. It's just something fell. And I was creeped out just because I knew that corner of the bathroom I didn't like.
I always stared at it when I went to the bathroom there. I remember looking at that corner and just be like, there's something off.
Yeah, and I showered in that thing. Like, ooh.
Oh my God, absolutely not. No.
There's probably some
hated it.
cameras in there.
And I remember sleeping in that room, and I remember that one corner in your bedroom was so
Oh, don't even
horrifying.
get me started.
And I didn't know that you were scared of that corner, but I had a dream of that one corner. And then months later, after you moved out, you told me that you had this weird feeling about that. And the fact that I had a dream, I couldn't even describe to you at the time.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to describe that. But in a minute here, first off, I didn't like that corner at all. There was something about it. I never told Shayley because she's wanted to kind of sense that stuff and didn't want to tell her because I didn't want her thinking our house was creepy because I don't want to stay alone. But she spent the night. She was gonna be on the couch, but she ended up staying in my room with me because I was scared. So I slept on Maverick's side and she slept on my side. And, I got that weird feeling. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. It'll be fine. Well, I went to the bathroom, came back and I started watching YouTube because I couldn't fall asleep and I was creeped out. And there's something about that corner, it was right to the left side of the room. And there was a couple nights where I showed up at the house and there were some handprints on the side of the wall. And it wasn't just handprints. It was kind of handprints with a little of a slide. And my husband told me at the time, my fiance, he was like, oh, it's just you walking around and putting your hands on the wall. Well, at that time, excuse me, at that time, I didn't have any area. My closet was the freaking floor. And so I knew it wasn't me. I wasn't over there. There was no reason. And I knew for sure my hands wouldn't be that dirty. It was like I put it on complete mud and put it on the wall, which I knew I wouldn't do because that's not me. I'm a clean freak. And so it seemed off. It seemed weird. It was the corner where our fan was. And, Maverick would think it's funny to shut the light off and come at me. And when it was pitch black and he thought it'd be funny, to try to scare me or whatever. And normally I laugh about it and I would goof off and like wrestle him back or whatever. But at this house, I'm kidding. Like I could not. Like
It's terrifying.
And I actually almost broke down in tears, which is weird. If you know me, I don't do that.
No.
And like, I couldn't do it. It was something about that house, and Maverick learned pretty quick that it wasn't a joke. Like, I was actually scared when he joked about that, when he turned the lights off. I didn't just feel like him joking. It felt like something else was there.
Yeah.
And that's weird for me to say because I don't typically believe in it. I think of, it's just the movies I've watched. But no, it was real. There was something there.
There was something about that house that had a different energy to it, and it was very heavy.
Yeah.
You walked in and you felt heavy. You felt watched. And I know I'm pretty dramatic with my house. I'm like, oh my God, it's haunted. And like, there's some energies that you can kind of feel. But this house was nothing like I felt before. It was heavy. You felt watched. And there was such prominent energies to it. Like there was no other explaining to it.
Yeah, no, it was weird. Like, tell me your dream you had. And that was the night that I tried not to tell Shay because I didn't want her to like overthink it or get worried and think of anything. And this night I didn't say anything. She was going to sleep by herself in the living room. She got kind of like a weird feeling and I didn't want to say, no, you're just being crazy. So I was like, that's fine. You can sleep with me. Not that I cared at all because I was scared. So I was like, yeah, Shay, come in bed with me.
Yep. Yeah, so this night when you had that feeling, I was also kind of getting creeped out. Like I really don't want to stay alone tonight. Like I can't do it. There's something unsettling.
And we had some deep talks that night, so like it seemed logical.
Yeah, we had some really really great conversations. So I went and slept in their room, And I had this dream of this old woman from that corner talking to me about how we need to get out and all these creepy things. And it's a little bit less vivid now because it's been a few years since. But I just remember it being so vivid and creepy. And I woke up and I couldn't move. I remember it being pitch black and I felt like I couldn't look over my shoulder because if I looked, there would be someone staring at me.
And that would have been me.
And you were right behind me. I can't.
I mean, I was probably cuddling because I was so scared.
Yeah. And I remember sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I can't tell her because she has a few more months in this house. And if I tell her about what I saw, she's never going to sleep in here again.
Never would. Never.
No.
I didn't, to be honest, after even because. But.
No, I didn't tell you about it until months later. And I'm like, Jenna, I got to tell you something. I had this dream that there was this old woman in this house named this name. I don't remember it now because it's been a few years since. And I was like, Jenna, like this house was unsettling to say the least. I had eyes on me. I was unsettled. I had wicked nightmares. Yeah. It was just terrifying. Yeah. It was a house I never want to set foot in again.
No, it was definitely weird. And like I said, I'm not one to say that, but
no, you're a little bit more cautious.
This one is 100% one that I felt weird in.
No, I will
and
not put on.
Like I always thought it was because he had that camera. Mm-hmm. So I always thought, he maybe has cameras elsewhere. Those movies and those shows where it's like, oh, creepy, And so I always thought that, but no. It was weird. It's like I couldn't go downstairs. I didn't even do laundry. I quit doing laundry. Maverick had to do that because I
would not.
No, I didn't. It was weird. I had this creepy feeling. I'd do laundry in the middle of the day, and obviously I was at work, so 9 out of 10 times, Maverick would have to do it because I couldn't do it. And he knew, but he didn't want to admit it at the time. And, he still says to this day, oh, I don't believe in it. But he knew that when he'd shut off the light and try to joke, it wasn't a joke.
No.
Like, it really freaked me out. Yeah, there was something. And I've never felt that feeling since. Like, I've never felt that, like, watching feeling. I don't know what it's hard to explain.
It's so hard because it's not like, oh my God, I feel like someone's just kind of like looking through my blinds or something. It feels like something's almost looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, it has this presence where it's on top of you. And it's like, you don't feel you have any privacy. Mm-hmm. Like, legit any. And it is weird. I don't know how to describe it. And I can't explain it. And, you tell my dad and he's like, oh, that's just a joke. And, you take it as you will. But it was weird.
Yeah, take it at face value or whatever you believe in. But until you live it, I don't think you will ever know the true feeling of it. It's so daunting and heavy. And it's almost like overbearing and intruding to have that feeling. Yeah. It's creepy. It's like it feels like you're being stalked almost. And it's terrifying.
Right. And it is weird. It's definitely weird. And like we were gonna buy the area and build a house on it, and I wasn't for it because it felt weird, and I'm glad we didn't because I still drive by that place every day because it's only 3 miles away from us, and I still feel this weird presence every time I drive by.
Yeah.
It's just weird. There's something connected to that house that I just don't like.
Yeah, last time I drove by it, I couldn't even take my eyes off it. Well, I got goosebumps all down my back and my arms.
Yeah. Well,
there's a heavy presence in that house, and it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's really terrifying.
Yeah, it's really weird. And like I drive by at, I don't know, 6 in the morning, 6:15, and there's always one light on, and it's the bedroom.
One light on?
There's one room. Yeah, there's one room, and it's the bedroom, the main bedroom. And I know that, I mean, not to say who lives there, but there is a younger kid who I know for sure is not up at that time because it's early in the morning and it's out of farming time and he doesn't work in the winter, and it's on every night or every morning, I mean. And every time I drive by, I get this uneasy feeling. And this last Friday, it wasn't on for the first time. And I was like, I don't like this feeling because it's weird. And I know the gentleman who lives there would not be up at that time. And it has this weird feeling. And, I could shut the blinds. I could do whatever I want. And that feeling would never go away. I never felt in that house I had privacy, which obviously you want. Like, you want to be able to go in the shower and not feel creeped out. You want to be able to be alone with yourself significant other. And it was weird. It was really weird. I don't know.
I didn't know that you drive by that and you always see that light on. That's
Yeah,
new for me.
I still do. And it is weird. And I get a weird feeling every time I drive by it. But,
Gosh.
you know, others don't believe it, which is fine. I don't tell Maverick. I don't tell anyone. But I get a weird feeling every day.
No, there's something about that house, and I'd love to see the history of that house and see if we can find anything on it. But it's
Not
not.
me.
It's just so unsettling. Like, what actually happened there to cause this?
Yeah.
Because I went into the basement one time when I was there, one time, just for a tour of the home, and I never went down there again. I was like, no, I will not
Yeah.
do it. That is not for me.
Yeah.
It is not going to happen ever again.
Yeah.
And I only stayed there a few times, and every time it was unsettling. Like, I enjoyed seeing you, I enjoyed seeing the house, but it was just so
Yeah.
unsettling. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever do it again.
Well, and you know, multiple times there was like a little mud room, and the mud room had my rabbit in it and had our dog Riley, and I'd go out there and hang out with her and the rabbit because they were best friends, but it felt weird. It felt like I was in an igloo where someone is just staring at you, or a fishbowl, whatever you want to call it, and it's like, this is weird. And I kept thinking, you know, it's that camera. It's that freaking camera that's just bothering me. But it wasn't. Like,
No.
it was so much more. Because like I said, I could shut the blinds and it was just this uneasy feeling. And, you know, our bathroom didn't have a window to the outside. It had a window to the mudroom, but that mudroom, you shut the blinds in the mudroom and then you shut the blinds in the bedroom. There's no way someone could see. And for some reason, it always felt like someone was watching. Not that it was a creepy watching, but it just felt like someone was there.
You never felt alone.
Yeah, and that obviously causes issues when you're in a relationship, just because it's hard to open up when you feel like someone's watching and you feel uneasy about who's listening or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it was weird, and I just needed to get out of there, so it was great to get out. But I never want to go back.
No, I don't think you could pay me to go back.
No,
it's one of those feelings that it's hard to describe unless you've lived it. When you're like, oh my gosh, I always feel watched. Like, oh, sometimes I feel watched in my home.
And I do too, in a way. Like, you do in a way.
Sometimes,
especially right now when we don't have blinds at our house. Like, yeah, you feel like someone could maybe be creeping, whatever.
Yeah, but this is different. It's almost like you feel someone looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, and every time I booked it from our bedroom to the bathroom, like, I would run.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about it. In our workout room, which was just a spare room, it felt weird. I felt like something was in there. And that's where Maverick put all of his, like, his deer hunting mounds and whatever. And it's just something was weird about it. And Riley hated the room. She'd go in there and she'd start barking. We thought it was because of the deer mounds, but I don't know. It just seems weird. And, like, I don't know what to think of it. I don't know what it is, but I've never felt it. Only ever felt it there.
Yeah.
And I've never felt it since.
Yeah. I've felt things in other homes, but I can honestly say that home stood out beyond any other. That home was beyond different. I can't explain it. And I've had homes where it's like, oh my God, this is this and this is that.
Sure.
But this home was just, it stood out so greatly that I'm like, I genuinely don't want to go back because of what I experienced there, because it was just that prominent.
Yeah.
It was potent.
Right.
It was very potent.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm proud of it.
No.
I would never want to go back. I never want
No.
I don't want to have that record high.
No.
Like, it was weird. I don't know. Like I said, I'm speechless about it because it was weird. And like I said, I'm not one to cry. But if Maverick shut off that light and tried to joke, I would be pretty dang close to crying. Because, and he realized real quick, this isn't a joke.
No.
I don't like it. And so it was really weird when you and I met to talking and we were sitting there talking about, you know, the house and the situation. And I brought up how it was weird at that house. And then that's when you told me about your dream.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, no way. There's no way, Shay. And she told me the whole dream and I thought, oh my God, I didn't know it was like an old lady or whatever, but there was something in that freaking corner.
Yeah.
Every single night I'd wake up and I'd stare at it and I thought it was because of the fan. And, you know, it's weird. And, you know, you wonder, okay, if my bed was positioned differently, would we have felt some presence or why is she here, or who is she connected to, or what is she connected to for an object, or he or she, or whatever it was. And all I gotta say is thank God when we moved, it didn't follow.
God. Thank God.
I don't know what I would have done. I would have lost my crap. Like,
yeah, in your current home, I don't have that same energy. It's not the same. It's
no, definitely not. Thank God.
Near the same.
No.
Yeah, and the fact that we both one day were like, yeah, that same corner. That same corner, we were utterly terrified. We never spoke about it until you got out.
Well, and like, that's the thing is I never had a reason to go in the closet because at that time I did not own any of that closet. Like, my closet was the freaking floor. Like, I was moving between Bemidji, Glendon, Moorhead, and back to his place in Winger. So it's like,
yeah,
I didn't have a home, if you want to say. I was kind of everywhere. So it's like, I know for sure I didn't have a closet. So I went in your closet. Because what am I going to do? Look at your clothes you're hanging? Cool. Like, there was something weird about it.
There is something so off. In fact, I had a dream of that exact corner, and I remember her face and not being able to move that night. And I remember I'm like, I just have to make it to the morning, and I'm not going to sleep for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
I was so scared, and that was a fear that I will remember for the rest of my life.
Well, yeah, and like when I woke up in the morning, I was like, "Hey, Shay, how'd you sleep?" And she said awful.
Yeah, I was like, shit, absolute shit is how I slept.
Yeah, and she's like, I didn't sleep good at all. Like, this is awful. And I thought maybe it's because I sat watching YouTube all night because I couldn't sleep either. And I thought it's just because, Maverick wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, here, there's a lot more to it, and then she didn't tell me, and I didn't tell her. So, it was kind of weird that we had the same thought, but not at the same time. It was weird.
Yeah, no, houses like that are interesting. And when you mentioned the handprint on your closet door, I don't know if I ever told you about this or not. You'll have to let me know. But there was a handprint at my parents' place in the garage. Do you remember that? There was a muddy handprint. So if you go into the garage on the left-hand side, there's a window. Okay. And there was a handprint, like clear as day, a dark handprint.
Hold on. At your newer place in Glendon or at the old place in Glendon?
In the north side of town.
Sure. Okay.
So we all saw this handprint one day and we were like, what the heck? So every single one of the people that lived in our home lifted up their hand to this handprint, right? We all held it up. There was no match. There was no match to this handprint. No one fit this handprint.
So you're saying that this handprint came because of you?
Probably, honestly.
Dude, come on.
This was in high school, though. This was before you were moving.
Before I even met Maverick then?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was in high school.
Okay. I'll give it to you, but...
Yeah, no, Paige is kind of off camera right now, but I think Paige will back me up. We each held a hand up and we tried to see whose handprint it would have been. We couldn't figure it out. We had no idea.
No, come on.
No, ask my mom. Ask my mom.
No.
Mm-hmm. We had no idea. Because it was a little bit smaller than my hand.
See, this hand was, I guess I don't remember the actual print. I never held my hand to it. But all I know, it was like, it seemed like the fingers were longer than mine would have been. Mm-hmm. And it was like dragged. So I never put my hand up to it just because it creeped me out. And I'm a germ freak. So if that would have happened, I would have like cleaned it right away like I did. Just because I like my things clean. I'm kind of like OCD in that way. And so I was like, oh, I gotta clean this right away. So I washed it right away. But I knew it wasn't Maverick, and I knew it wasn't me. Because 100% I wouldn't have had dirty hands like that. Like, where the frick would I put my hand in mud? Like, it wouldn't have happened.
And that's just it. We didn't have any dirty hands like that. Oh my goodness,
sure.
No. And it was in the garage where this is a window that has kind of a lot of cobwebs and like flies. So we're not going to be like, oh, let me put my hand here. No, we all just thought one day, we're like,
let me just put it there. Yeah, no.
All of our hand up, like, this doesn't match anybody. And that was just so crazy. I'm like, how did this not match a single person in your home? Not one person. Was living in this house for how many years?
Yeah. And like that's the thing too, is like when I moved, or not when I moved, but when I came to your guys' place at the new place when you moved, I slept in the basement when it wasn't done with you guys, and I basically lived at your house for a while there. Not that my parents didn't help, but I was always at your place. And I never got those weird vibes, and I remember Shayley always saying it to me, like, oh, this house is haunted, and I was like, whatever, you're just making that up. It's because of the movies we watch, and I always loved the movies, but I never believed it.
Yeah.
And like I said, now I 100% believe it. But at the time, I was like, whatever, Shay. And she would, we'd sleep in the living room and watch TV, and your brother or sister would come out sleepwalking, and it freaked the crap out of me. Like, that was weird.
It was.
And like, I about lost my crap. And when your sister runs into the pantry, that was weird. They can explain that. Like, come on.
Oh my gosh, there was one night. So my parents weren't home. I don't know where they were at the time.
No, they were home. They were sleeping in their room. We were watching Conjuring that night.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember them being home.
Yeah, because they had that weird mirror in the closet or in the hallway.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were in the room, and you and I were out in the upstairs living room, and their bedroom was out in the hallway, connected to the living room. So they brought, first was, oh gosh, was it Isaac?
It was Isaac first, yeah.
Isaac came out of his room from the hallway into the living room where we were, and he spun in a circle with his arms out like an airplane, spun in a circle like 2 or 3 times, ran back to his room, like, what?
And I stopped, and I looked at Shayley, and I thought, no, this is not happening. No. And she's like, Jenna, this is normal. They sleepwalk. This is what you do. You don't wake them up. You don't do this or that. And I'm thinking, this is freaking possessive. But I'm not going to say anything, but I'm not going to sleep. And so I'm trying to, like, be calm, not say anything. And Shay's like, it's just our usual, so I'm letting it be. Well, then what happens after that?
Well, yeah. Then Abby, his twin, gets up not too long after, by like 10, 15 minutes. Gets up, goes to the kitchen. We go and follow her. We're like, where the fuck did she go?
And not talking to us. She's like dead quiet.
Dead quiet. Not a sound out of her. And we're looking around. All of a sudden, we see this crack in the pantry. We open up the pantry, and she's sitting in there. We open up. We're like, Abby.
Well, and keep in mind, this pantry is small. Like, I couldn't sit in there and squeeze it. Like, she's small as it is.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, you really gotta work to keep that in.
Stuck in for that thing. So she comes out, and we're like, awake. We're like shining a light in her eyes, trying to figure out if she's sleepwalking.
And Shaylee's telling me not to wake her up.
We're trying to.
And I'm freaking out, and I'm gonna wake her up because I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, she's joking or not, I'm waking her up.
Yeah, we're like, what are you doing? She's like, I was just getting a glass of water. We're like, no, bullshit. Bullshit on that. Bullshit on the other thing. No, absolutely not. So we're questioning her. We're interrogating this poor child. And finally, we're like, no, okay, go back to bed. So she runs back to bed. The rest
runs. Sprints.
Dead ass. Back to her bedroom. Not a peep for the rest of the night. We're like, fuck that. Fuck this. We're done. Oh my God.
And I don't sleep the rest of the night. And Shayley falls asleep like a baby after like half an hour.
Oh, it was terrifying. Well, and even then, Abby will tell you that her room was weird. And I don't know if I've actually told you this, but after one of my surgeries, I think it was one of my appendix ones. Yeah, it was after I got my appendix out. I was staying at my parents' house, and keep in mind, I was hopped up on a lot of painkillers. However, I was pretty clear at this time. And I just remember laying in bed, and I hear this crashing down. Like, it wasn't quiet at all. It was like a bunch of things fell from inside the closet in the bedroom I was staying. And I just remember opening my eyes wide as can be, and I stared at the closet for so long. And I was like, oh my God, this can't be real. And it's middle of the night. I'm like, I have to look. I can't lay here all night and not know what happened in that closet. I opened up the closet, and it was a mess. And I'm like, all right. I'm telling like that didn't happen. So I went back to bed, slept through the rest of the night, didn't hear a peep. Well, and there was this one time too in my parents' house, and I was downstairs with all 3 of my siblings. We were all just talking in the basement, whatever, doing our thing. And I hear my mom call my name from upstairs. And I was like, oh, Mom, whatever. Like, I go upstairs. Like, that's pretty typical. She calls her name from upstairs. So I go upstairs, and I don't see her in the living room. Okay, maybe she went into her room. So I went into her room. Don't see her. I'm like, oh. So I keep looking around that upstairs, like, where is she? Like, why would she call my name and, like, run away? And I'm like, is she here? So I go in the garage, and I open up their garage door, and her car's not there. What on earth? So I go downstairs, and I look at my siblings, like, did your mom call my name? They're like, no, we were kind of curious why you just ran off. And I was like, "You just hear mom call my name?" Like they're like, "No." Like I was insane. I'm like, "No, I heard clear as day my mom calling my name from upstairs." And to this day, it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird.
It was clear as day, my mom. And like, oh my goodness. And that house has never struck me as a house. It's like, oh my God, this is so crazy. Not like the house that you rented. Like, it's like, oh, sometimes you're kind of annoyed and you just get the
Yeah.
heebie-jeebies.
And I feel like that's every house. Like every time you're alone, like you think about it. Like even at our house now when like for instance this week Maverick's gone. And it's like, yeah, you get that weird vibe where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I feel like someone's watching me or there's someone there. But it is different. There is a different experience. I don't know what you want to call it. It's weird.
Yeah, you psych yourself out in some homes.
100%.
But this house, it's so weird. You wouldn't think like being in it, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many creepy things. Like, but in this house, there's so many weird things that have happened. Like, my parents have had knocking on their doors and they've opened it and they haven't seen anyone.
Or like the blinds they said this weekend.
Yeah, so this is a new story that we actually just learned a few hours ago.
Yeah, no,
So my
I'm done.
parents
I
told
can't.
me that their blinds in their bathroom at random points, because they usually keep them closed because it's a bathroom, you know, you want your privacy.
Obviously, yeah.
And at random points, the blinds will just snap open, like at a moment's notice at 2 a.m. when they've been closed for hours.
Well, and see, like, I've spent the night at your guys' parents' place when they're gone and, like, helping babysit or whatever. And, like, yeah, I've showered in their room or whatever. And I'm not kidding. If that blinds would have went up,
shit my pants.
I would have, probably shit my pants right there in the shower. I would have been like, what the fuck? Probably would have ran out freaking streaking, being like,
streaking the street.
What happened? Yeah. Not that it's anything you haven't seen before, but I'm just kidding. I would have actually
2 a.m.
No. And we've slept in your parents' bed before, just you and I, like not being weird, but we've like slept in there while we were babysitting just because we wanted to watch TV in the middle of the night and have a bed instead of the floor.
The sheets would have been covered in my shit. Like for sure.
Gross. And I would have probably bathed in bleach for like the next week.
No, absolutely not. If I heard the blinds going just up in the middle of the night, oh my
I would have been out of there. I would never go back to your parents' house. Well, remember that one time, I don't remember the details, but I just remember we watched a scary movie with your parents. Because your dad was always so good about going with us to the scary movies and haunted houses, and we watched a scary movie that your mom didn't want to watch. And we heard a knocking at the door.
Did we?
I remember we heard a knocking at the door, and we 100% thought it was like one of your siblings. We did, and I don't remember the details. All I remember it was the front window we heard, like, you know, like right above your piano.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, it definitely was one of the twins or something. And we go over there, and there's nothing. And you guys have like a not stoplight, but a yard light.
Yeah.
And we're like, there was someone there. Like, they're joking, but there was someone. And so we're watching the show, and we end up changing it to something else and kind of get our minds off it. And then it happened in our backyard. Or in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so creeped out. And I don't remember what exactly happened, but I just remember you and I slept in the living room because that night we were freaked out. And I don't remember what happened. I don't know if you remember. I just remember I was so scared, and I was like, what the actual heck? Because we went downstairs and everyone else was sleeping, sound asleep. So it's like, okay, it wasn't them.
Why don't I remember any of this?
I don't know. That was the only time I remember anything happening at your house other than like sleepwalking issue.
Did you hear about my parents' decor coming off the wall?
In the bedroom? Or?
No, in the living room.
Come on. Oh. All I know is your cat gets like possessed at night.
Okay.
And I hate cats already, and this freaked me out.
This one's gonna freak you out a bit.
Good thing I don't sleep there anymore.
So it's midday, right? They're just hanging out watching TV.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, one of their decor things comes off the wall and crashes down to the floor. And they're like, what the hell? So they go and look at it. And this decor wall art fell so hard it scratched the paint off the damn wall.
I'd be pissed if I was your mom just because I have to repaint, but
get this. this was one of the decor things where you can't just slide off the hook. You have to lift it up, then out.
Screw that. Did the hook fall out of the wall though?
No, it was there. This painting would have had to.
Where was this at? What side of the wall? Or like north, east, southwest?
Between the wall of the front door and the piano. In between those two.
So the northeast side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this painting came crashing down so hard it chipped the paint.
Above the windows or above the sidewall?
It was in between two windows.
Okay.
It had to be lifted up and off.
Yeah.
And it came crashing down so hard it almost broke.
That's weird.
No, it's not insane.
That's weird.
It's insane. They looked at it, and even my dad, who can usually come up with reasoning.
That's like my dad, yeah.
Yeah. And he went over, he's like, I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. There's no way this thing could have come off. This hook was in the wall. The paint was chipped. It was chipped, and it's not a heavy piece of decor.
No, I don't like it. No,
it was terrifying.
And I've never got those weird vibes at your house, except for that one time, like I said, with the twins being all weird in their sleep. But other than that, like I never got those vibes. I always thought you were joking.
I know.
And I was like, Shay, come on, you're just pulling my leg.
That's the thing.
And I'd pull pranks on her, thinking I'd be funny, sneaking outside and being like, I'm here, like thinking I'm all funny.
Yeah.
And Shayley's actually like pissed and scared, like dead serious, like just so upset with me. And I had to have fun with it. I had to.
And that's the thing. I've been in both my parents' house and your rental house, and both of those homes have very, very, very different energies to it.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
Terrified of the rental house. My parents' house, I'll go in no problem. It's fine. It's what it is.
Yeah.
Do I ever want to be alone there? No.
And I don't know, like for you, I don't know. I don't feel the energy, if you want to call it, at my rental house with Maverick was necessarily bad, but it wasn't good, if you get what I mean. It was kind of like it could go either way. Like she liked you or she didn't, kind of a feeling. Yeah. And I didn't know if it was a he or she at the time, but Shayley kind of confirmed it was a she in a way. Yeah. But it's like, I had that feeling where if you're on her bad side, pardon my language, but she's gonna be a bitch. Like, she was gonna come at you somehow. And like, I didn't want to be on that side. So I was like, I don't know what to do or what I'm supposed to say in this house, what is going to make her mad. And obviously me being home alone made that energy pissed off when Maverick showed up. Yeah. And that's where it went a little south for me. It was weird. Yeah. And that's where my guard went up and I said, I'm done. Yeah, you're not quite as sensitive to energies as I am. No. And I've tried to be a little bit more reserved with it and not be like, oh my God, every single house is haunted. Well, like my parents, for instance. And I pick up on energies, but not every energy is bad. Not any energy needs to be acknowledged. Some are just different than others, and that's what it is. But it's there, and it's weird, and you wonder why. Weird. And I don't know every backstory, but there's something. Not that I want to know them. No, and I don't. And if, for instance, I haven't felt this, but if in your new build, if I felt something interesting in it, I wouldn't even tell you. Don't even. It's not even worth it because I don't want to acknowledge it. I don't want to give it the attention. No. And it's not worth scaring the shit out of people. No, because not that I'm home alone all the time, but there's a good amount of time where he's hunting or fishing and I'm by myself in the dark and I don't need to know that. Unless I feel it, then I tell you, and then you tell me. But otherwise, no, I don't want to know because I'll freak myself out. Yeah, and I'll be wanting to move out of the house we just built, and he's gonna get mad. So I'd rather not. Yeah, and truthfully, I feel like when you do acknowledge these presences, they get more prominent. They do, and even in our current home, and I've never acknowledged this in this one this current home. I've never acknowledged this on our podcast because I don't like bringing attention to it when I'm in the home currently. And I've talked about it outside the home. I don't talk about it. Like tonight, I will probably be cuddling with you because I'm scared. But that's cool. No, this home, I'm not scared of it. This home doesn't scare me. Are there energies? Sure. But I sage the place every now and then, and it keeps it at bay. And it's fine. I'm at peace with it. It's what it is. It's okay. But there's some homes I don't think you can make your peace with. And there's some homes you just need to, put your white flag up and be like, I'm done. Yep, definitely. Yeah. No, there's just some homes, and if you're living in one of those homes, there's just some homes you're not going to win that battle in. Yeah. And I think you need to accept. Well, in high school, you and I would hang out a lot. And we mainly went to your place, but occasionally we'd be at my place, my parents, and I liked sleeping in the fourth floor because we'd have our, kind of secret space. My parents wouldn't always be snooping, and it would be kind of, like for us to do. Shayley never liked that.
No,
she hated it. She would get pissed when I said I want to sleep down there. So we would, watch TV on the third floor and be like, okay, let's go upstairs to my bedroom. And that's what we would do. And I never understood it. But now that we're older, we've talked about it and you've told me kind of what you thought. And it was funny how that kind of unfolded last month. And it was weird.
Yeah, no. There's some things I don't always know in time. It's like I don't know what it is, but I'm not doing it. I will not do it.
You hated that bottom floor. You hated it.
I still don't like
it. It was our workout room.
I still don't like it. I still don't like going down there.
And I will say, every time I'm down there working out, I do feel like someone's watching me. But I don't know if that's just because, and, I don't know. Because I've always thought that it was just, me being weird.
Wait, what happened recently that made that fourth floor weird?
Well, I don't know. It was Thanksgiving, and I just was down there, and I was working out, doing my own thing. And I just felt like someone was watching. And, I opened the blinds, and I, kind of just, looked outside, and it just felt weird. And I kind of had that feeling that I felt when I lived in that other place where someone's watching. And so I shut the blinds and it didn't seem to change it. So I just opened it back up to get some natural light and I proceeded with my workout. It seemed fine. I was enjoying my time and it went upstairs and everything was gone. I felt fine. But that's the only time in my life I felt it down there. But it had that same feeling that someone was watching you, not just creeping, but the presence was there. And it was weird.
It's so unsettling.
But like you said, though, from what you've always thought of my parents' house is it's not the house, it's the outside. And weirdly,
that was terrifying when we learned that. Because, we were just talking one day and I'm like, you know what?
And this is a month ago.
Yeah, this is
recent.
This is recent. This is very
and we've
recent.
known each other for years.
I've known this house for years. And I just told her, I'm like, it's a house. I feel like there's something about the land. And you looked me dead in the eyes and told me something I've never heard.
Yeah, I said that, my parents told me that the place that my parents have, used to be a sandbar and a main place that was this lake place and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm sure people drowned in it. I'm sure there was issues that happened there. I mean, you can't really have a sandbar and never have an issue. And that lake isn't there anymore. Obviously, the land shifted years and years ago. And so, it's now part of Glendon. But it used to be underwater. And so my parents built their house right on the edge. And if you dig far enough, like we did when we built the house and stuff like that, you get to the clay and actually hit a little bit of that river bottom. And it was a lake at the time, but now it's kind of known as a river.
Yeah.
And it's that's weird. And I knew it in a way, but I never really put two and two together. And then when they told me that again and showed me pictures from way back when, I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And I agree, when I used to let the dogs out, or even now when I let our dog Stella out, it's I get this uneasy feeling being outside. And it's not, when I'm in the house, I feel fine. But for me, it's being outside.
Yeah.
And, maybe the fourth floor is underground. So maybe that's why you get it. And for me, it's only when I'm out of the house, other than that one time. And like I said, I don't know if because my parents have had a lot of different people show up and we've had creepers, we've had different things. So for me, I thought, whatever. It's just because I'm psyched out about what has happened. But no, there's definitely more to it in that way.
Yeah.
And it's only outside.
That I picked up on that without ever knowing that. And I told you that. And you're like, actually, here's some info for you. I'm like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Just said that. That was crazy. And there's just some weird things that you pick up on and you learn as you kind of go through different experiences. And I don't know, you kind of take stuff away from it. And when you go to different places, you kind of you learn. And there's, you learn a lot from it.
Well, and it's some people believe in it, some people don't.
Yeah.
And like I said, you take it as you will. Yeah. I was one to never believe in it, thinking, it was just all the movies I've seen.
Yeah, teach their own.
But you can't. If you feel it, you feel it.
Yeah.
And like I said, and, my husband always says, I knew you didn't feel it or you didn't like that place or whatever. Mm-hmm. But now that we moved out, he kind of comes back to, oh, it was just you that didn't like it. But obviously he didn't like it either. And like, he didn't let me be alone there because he knew I didn't like it. I mean, also I wouldn't stay the night if I didn't like it. But it is funny that it does shift. If you don't really feel it yourself, you don't believe it. So you regard it as, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah. One thing I can say is always trust your gut. My gut has never been wrong.
Yeah.
If something is off, it's off. And I wouldn't recommend always giving it that acknowledgement.
Right.
Sometimes you just got to keep going, and that's what it is. But your gut is right, and you need to trust that and do what you think is best.
Yeah, and then obviously there's a lot of movies out. There's a lot of stories, so like you can write it off as, oh, it's just me being paranoid.
Yeah.
But like Shayley said, you gotta trust your gut.
Yeah, if your gut tells you it's wrong.
If it's a little more than watching a movie, I think it's real.
Yeah.
Thank God I haven't felt it at this new house.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't live there.
Well, and even then, not every presence is a bad presence. Sometimes it's just a...
No, but still, I would want to know why you're here. Like, it freaks me out. Like, get out of here. Like, you got your own life. Like, get out of here.
Settling.
Yeah.
No, it's what it is. And sometimes you just gotta have to live and learn and move on and make it what it is. Sometimes you don't always have the opportunity to move. Some people can't move with expenses. So you just gotta make your peace with it and move on.
Well, like that Netflix show or whatever.
Yeah.
What was it? 28 Days.
Yeah, 28 Days Haunted.
Haunted. Yeah. It's like, it's weird because they're trying to help the people that are stuck, and it's like, why are you stuck? Like, go get. Like, go your own way. Like, when I die, give me to heaven. Don't get me stopped. Don't get me stopped in the middle. Like, I want to go where I need to.
Yeah, I don't want to be stuck here now.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't get it, but I don't know.
But those are just kind of a few of our experiences, and I think we have some more that we just kind of haven't touched on or we haven't had a chance to. But those are our experiences and kind of why we have an interest in paranormal. But I think it's kind of nice to get that out in the open and talk with people about. And I hope people find it as interesting as we do because we have a lot of experiences with it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Especially with me always not being like sure on it.
Yeah.
Definitely 100%.
You're a little bit more on the skeptic side, and I'm a little bit more like...
I'm a little more on the logical side, and then, yeah. But no, I agree. That was unsettling.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some...
I don't care what anyone says. It wasn't, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. I guess the takeaways is always just trust your gut and what you think is best. But I mean, if you ever need to just like talk about it with anyone, just talk to someone you trust and you know will kind of process it with you and see what you can do. But that's what we did. Yeah. That's kind of our thing. But thank you for joining us for another episode, and I hope you enjoy.